Hey guys, my AWOL password here with another video game review. Today we will be reviewing Redfall. This is personalized, opinionated in a way, so no way, shape, or form a professional or high-end review. Let's get right into it, and we'll go from there. I know, as a disclaimer, I know this game has a lot of hate, has a lot of bad rep, given its launch. I did not play it at launch. I just recently played it about a week or two ago, and I know I think there was a few updates between then and now, and scrap DLC and scrap season pass and all that stuff. So, uh, I guess just for base game here. But anyways, overall, I enjoyed it actually more than I didn't. I know it's a Bethesda title. I know it has its flaws and its issues. But overall, I think it did pretty well. It reminded me, the more I played it, the more it reminded me of like Bethesda's version of Far Cry and Generation Zero put together. Almost kind of just, I wouldn't say a generic first person shooter with a open world kind of, but you get to um do all the things that you would get in a Far Cry game and a Gen Zero game with a looter shooter aspect, first person shooter aspect, the somewhat open world, somewhat good to generic to good story, all that stuff. However, I think its flaws definitely outside of it being a Bethesda title with its rep. I think the main flaw that I got was that the game was crashing a number of times, random crashing. Nothing outside of that. I didn't really get any like game breaking bugs, or I didn't get any frame drops, or performance was fine. I think it did well. Nothing out of the ordinary, something that you would get from it's a typical Bethesda title. But I still enjoyed it. I loved the looter shooter formula, even though it was, I wouldn't say generic either, but it was still the what you would get in a lot of looter shooter games with its rarity system, gear scaling, all that stuff, different rolls up to legendaries, all that stuff. Nothing out of the blue in terms of a looter shooter system, but it was still good. It did the job. It was fun. You get to liberate like little sections and areas. The game is filled with vampires. I forgot to say that the story is about vampires and seeing why a place called Redfall, fictional place in Massachusetts, was filled with vampires and all that stuff. So if you just think of Far Cry with vampires, that's probably the easiest way to put it. And if you like Far Cry, I'm sure you'll like the game. The game had the artwork of Dishonored, which is basically, it is Arcane Studios, so Dishonored and Prey, Deathloop, that artwork style vibe. So it was it's really good. The level cap is 40, I believe, but when you get through the story, it is, you for the first time you finish around 15 to 20. I think I finished around 18, and I didn't really necessarily 100% everything. I got majority of the stuff done, but just two large maps. However, once you get through the first map in terms of story, this is why I didn't like this at all either. You're not allowed to go back to the first map unless you start over in a new playthrough or with a new character. It I was That was probably my biggest disappointment in terms of game mechanics. So there were, but outside of that, safe houses, liberating people or liberating outposts, rescuing civilians, all that stuff. Very much Far Cry vibe. So I enjoy the Far Cry series. So I kind of enjoyed this. I did like the different variations of vampires. It's not just all one version of vampire. The boss fights were okay. They weren't necessarily bad, but they weren't necessarily unique either. The gameplay of the boss fights, it was it was good. Each of the bosses did have their own mechanic, which definitely helped in terms of diversity and keeping things fresh, or different, not just bosses but different enemies or different vampire enemies, which I appreciated. Not every enemy was just generic vampire number 37. So the skill tree, there are 4 characters. There's supposed to be 6 with the scrap DLC, but there's 4 playable characters. Each character basically gets their own skill tree, which I appreciate as well, which gives replayability with the different characters for different builds and different and more diverse builds too. Because I know there's a lot of games with different, you can play as different characters but have the same exact skill tree, and it's like there's no point in playing with different characters if there's not different trees, you know. So I appreciated that. The currency was like, how do I put this, remnant from the ashes, where like you turn everything to scrap and you use that scrap, all the junk and the weapons and stuff you salvage turns into scrap, and you use scrap to buy your stuff. So that, yeah, it reminded me and some of my friends of Remnant of the Ashes, or From the Ashes. So yeah, the voice acting was okay. It wasn't anything special, but it wasn't bad. I did love the way that they did cutscenes. Everything was kind of like still image instead of just like a regular cutscene or cinematic. Uh, the I guess the method of their cutscenes was not something I'm used to, so it was nice and fresh, and it worked for them. So I was appreciative of that too. There was gameplay wise, I think it took about, I didn't want, like I said, I didn't 100%, but I have about 15 hours in a playthrough. And then there is New Game Plus that I didn't know that there was New Game Plus, but there is a New Game Plus with difficulty scaling. So a higher difficulty gives you better rewards. Um, since the level cap is 40, and I finished my first playthrough at almost level 20, so there is a level cap. There is a New Game Plus mode. You just press play again or something, and it starts you from the beginning with all your stuff. So that was cool. It was a way for me to want to play it more. So yeah, and the community pillar thing, which is another a community skill tree in a way for the game, gives you different buffs as you rescue civilians, as you do the safe houses and safe house missions, because there's various safe houses, which kind of act like your fast travel points along with landmarks. So, and then all the collectibles around there. So if you're a collectible person, get all the collectibles first before you move to the second map, because you cannot go back. The second map, this what you're seeing is the first map. The second map is slightly larger, not slightly larger. It's larger, um, and you, yeah. So yeah, I think we covered everything. Like I said, I do wish the DLCs for this game was still being worked on, but it's not, because I would love to play have 2 new characters, and I think it was 2 two story DLCs. So I think what it is now is good, and I would like to play it more in the future. I would definitely recommend this game if you like Far Cry and Generation Zero, or if you're a Bethesda fan. It is good. I think I would give it about right now a 7.5 out of 10. Nothing fancy, but it's good enough. It's fun. It's a lot of. It's really fun. Good. Eh. Fun. Yes, for sure. But yeah, guys, thanks everyone for watching this video. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Put down what you like or didn't like about the video or about the game, and go from there. Um, yeah, I'll put the socials down in the description, and I'll see you all next time. So, adios.